everybody, Miss Amanda here. Today is super fun because we've partnered with the Des Moines Blank Park Zoo. We're so excited to partner with them and hopefully see some of our fun furry friends, listen to some tunes, as well as hear some great music. I'd love to introduce one of my friends who's here to play with us. She'll be coming up momentarily. Here she is.
Hi, everybody.
That's Miss Renee. Miss Renee is going to be playing her violin for her special friend, Mr. Amboro.
This is Amboro.
Perfect. Thank you, Miss Renee. It's good to see you. We'll see you back in a little bit.
Okay.
Awesome. I also have another friend here, a representative from the zoo. This is my friend, Miss Jessica.
Hi everybody, I'm Jessica, the Education Manager here at Blank Park Zoo, and we're really excited for this opportunity to partner with the Des Moines Symphony and have them out here to play some music for you guys. Since we are at the zoo, Amanda and I are outside. We're on our giraffe feeding deck, so we're hoping the giraffe decide to come over and get some lettuce. And so you may see them pop up at some point, but since we're outside, we also just wanted to give you guys a warning that you may hear some planes going overhead because we're really close to the airport. So if you hear some loud noise, it'll just be for a moment. You may also hear some loud animal sounds, so not from our giraffe because they don't make noise, but you may hear our lions, you might hear our gibbons, or you might hear our sea lions even barking in the background. So that's all some fun parts of being at the zoo and outside. We wanted to thank you again for being here and to kind of tell you a little bit about the zoo. So our mission here at the Blank Park Zoo is to inspire an appreciation of the natural world through conservation, education, research, and recreation. And one of those ways is building connections between things that people love in their own lives and animals. And one of the great things about music is that lots of animals make music too. So we wanted to show you a short video clip of what the zoo's mission is all about. So here you go. Enjoy.
We want to teach all ages how awesome and unique and cool animals are. I love visiting our after-school programs. And the students usually start out a little bit scared of animals. By the end, they're just in love and they're excited to learn and share.
I could help people understand animals more through the education that we do.
And I just love having the opportunity to kind of be that person for young children and getting them really excited, falling in love with animals.
Blank Park Zoo has made a big impact on us kids. Your funding has helped us grow from nothing to having classes in 20 schools.
The support that the Blank Park Zoo has provided us has eventually helped us expand our field programs to reach more communities, protect more snow leopards.
Blank Park Zoo, in all honesty, was actually the whole impetus of how we got going. Thank you, Blank Park Zoo. Thank you, all the people who come to the zoo.
Research is just another tool in our toolbox, a way to gain a better understanding of our animals.
Finding out what's right for a giraffe or for a gibbon or a macaque or a tortoise requires us to know that animal and to pursue all the knowledge we can about how they live their lives, what makes them happy, essentially. And every one of those questions is a data question. And so the reason we do research is to make sure that we can be the best zoo we can be.
I just love admiring the animals. Every day, Mom, can I go to the Blank Park Zoo?
That was a great video. Did you guys learn something new about the zoo from the video? If so, leave the comments in below. Or if you have any questions, make sure to ask those questions below in the comments as well. I'm really excited because today we're going to be talking about not just bird families or other animal families, we're going to be talking about instrument families too. So here's a picture for you to kind of show you some different instrument families. You'll notice in that picture that we have the string section, the woodwind section, the brass section, and the percussion section. Today, we'll be talking about the string section. So today, I'm going to start off with, does anybody know what this instrument is? It's very big. I sit down to play it. And I'm going to lean in a little bit closer because remember, Miss Jessica said that we might hear some planes. Here it is. All right, we're gonna wait just a second for that to pass. So we'll wait, let's count. Let's see how long it takes. 1, 2, 4, 5 seconds, that was it. How great. All right, you guys. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play 2 songs on the cello, and then I'm gonna play the same songs on another instrument. So we're gonna talk about how instruments, though they're in the same family, how they might sound different, even though they're playing the same song. So hopefully you'll be able to hear the difference between the two while I'm playing. All right, here's the first one. All right, there's song number 1, and here's number 2. Oh, our friends aren't joining us yet, but they might, so make sure you're watching. Maybe they'll sneak up behind me. All right, there we go. That was called The Happy Farmer. And next, I'm going to play it on the violin. So really quick, can you guys tell me, can you see on the phone or on your TV or on your computer what this is made out of? If you said wood, you're right. Now, what else do we see around me here? Do you see any trees? What are trees made out of? They're made out of wood too. Wow. So, isn't that kind of cool that instruments can be made out of wood, among other things, and that they end up making beautiful noises? Now, do we know any animals that eat wood, or leaves, or trees, or grass? Can you think of a couple? There's one behind me, but again, they're ready to go to bed and get some dinner before that, so we may or may not see them, but that's all right. Okay, so you know how I just played 2 songs on the cello, and now I'm going to play the same 2 songs on the violin, and I want you to tell me how they're the same and how they're different. Here we go. number 2 on the violin. All right, what did you notice that was the same? Did they kind of make the same sound, but maybe the violin was higher than the cello? Let's think about bird families. Birds, most of them, they all flap their wings. They all have a beak. They all have feathers. But do they all sound the same? They don't. There's one back there. Can you guys see him? He's waddling around. That one's got a really cool crown on him. You see him running back there? Anyway, that was perfect timing for a really cool bird call. So, just like bird families, different instruments make different sounds too. So if you tune in October, you'll be able to hear our brass section and all the different sounds that a brass instrument can make, and what all the other brass instruments sound like. So I'm going to keep playing for you because I like playing my violin for you guys. The next song that I have, some of you might recognize it. Parents, you might recognize it. It's from a Disney tune. Here it is. Okay. We'll see if our bird friends make some noises behind us. That was called Someday. All right, I'm really excited to hear from Mboro, who's going to be coming up shortly. So I'm going to play one more song from you, not from you, for you. And this one's really fun. If you come to the zoo, you'll probably see the main character from this movie. Let's see if you can figure it out. And don't forget, if you have any questions for the zoo about zoo animals or instruments and instrument families, leave them in the comments below. Here we go. Did you guess what that was from? That was from The Lion King. Make sure you come into the zoo next time and see the lions, see the giraffes. They're still here. They're just hiding for the moment. Okay, next up we have, I believe, oh, we have a couple of great questions from our audience. Here they are.
Can I kiss the lion?
All right. Thank you, Grace, for that question. If you didn't hear, she asked if she can kiss our lion, which is adorable. We have 5 lions here at Blank Park Zoo. We have 2 adult females, 1 adult male, and 3 cubs that were born, I believe it was 3 years ago now. They're getting so old and so big. If you come to the zoo, you may not be able to tell who's the young ones and who are the older ones now. So lions are in the cat family. They are in the feline family, so that's the cat family. So they're related to tigers, jaguars, cougars, fishing cats, and they're related to our house cats, which are our pets. There's a big difference, though, between a house cat and a lion. A house cat's what we call domesticated, which means that they live with people and they kind of need people to take care of them. They don't really know how to take care of themselves. Whereas lions are called wild animals, where they are born usually outside of human care and they take care of themselves. Now, I know that our lions here at the zoo are being cared for by zookeepers, but they're still wild animals. They are not domesticated. And because they are wild animals, they have a lot of wild animal instincts. And so the answer to your question, Grace, is no, we can't kiss the lions. But you can, if you have a cat at home, probably give them kisses. They would probably appreciate it a lot more. I see we have a quick question here about how much does Deuce weigh. I don't know the exact weight. I could look it up and tell my Symphony friends here the exact weight, but I believe he weighs around 400 pounds. So he's a pretty big boy. All right.
Next question.
Next question, I think, is going to be one that's answered by our friends in the Palm Room over with Amboro. I think that's going to be answered by Renee and Julia. So take it away with that question.
Do some macaws mimic you?
Hey, 1 second, everybody. We're going to get our friend, Miss Renee, unmuted so that way we can answer the wonderful question that we heard from Carol. They didn't know that they were muted, so that's okay. The great thing about live broadcasts is that we get to entertain you guys. You get to, go along the ride with us for these exciting opportunities. All right, here we go. We're going to listen to that question from Carol one more time. I believe she asked, do some macaws mimic you? So Carol, let's hear you again.
Do some macaws mimic you?
Hi guys, I'm Julia. I'm a keeper here at Blank Park Zoo, and with me today is Amboro, our blue and yellow macaw. And that is a really, really good question about macaws. They can mimic. Different types of macaws can mimic different types of things, but they don't know what they're saying, so that's why we call it mimicking instead of talking. If he knew what he was saying, then it would be talking, but he just knows how to replicate some sounds that he hears from us. Can you whistle? Can you say hello? Can you laugh? Good. So those are just a few of the things that Amboro can mimic. And again, he has to hear those noises a lot to just repeat what he's hearing us say. He doesn't actually know what he's saying.
We're trying to get our friends over with the lettuce. That's what we've been doing. Okay, so next up, we are going to listen to Miss Renee. Miss Renee, are you ready to play for Amboro?
I am super ready.
Hi friends! So we have our
our wonderful macaque friend back here who's making a big mess with all of his toys. He likes to rip stuff up and eat some nuts. You'll see all the stuff down here. So we are going to play a little bit and show you a little bit about our friend. So I'm going to play a song for you for our friend Amboro, and we'll see if maybe he'll dance and move around a little bit with us. Let's see. Alrighty. So he was busy eating one of his nuts that he's chewing on right now, but I can see him looking at me out of one of his eyes. I can see him thinking, what is that funny instrument that she's playing? All right, friends. So we have a presentation about our zoo, our bird families, and I believe that my friend Julia is going to talk a little bit about that. So before I play some more music for Amboro, we're going to hear a little bit about birds and their families. Here we go.
So there are lots and lots of different types of birds. Amboro would be part of the parrot family. There's also songbirds and waterfowl. So our water birds would be ducks and geese and things like that. We also have a really fancy bird family. It's called the ratites, and that would be our emus and ostriches and cassowaries and those two-legged birds that we see running around instead of flying around. Now, earlier we learned a little bit about how some instruments that are made out of the same things make songs sound different. And parrots all sound a little bit different. So all blue and yellow macaws, when they're in a nice big flock out in the wild, they will make the same calls back and forth to each other to communicate and talk to each other. But every single parrot sounds just a little bit different. And they're able to tell which parrot is talking and communicating with the other parrots just based on the difference in their pitch and maybe even in the vibrations that they're using to produce those sounds. And I think Jessica has a couple more things to talk about our bird families as well.
All right, yeah, so as Julia mentioned, there's lots of different kinds of bird families out there. Here at the zoo, we have a lot of birds. When you come to the zoo, you can see all sorts of different kinds. One family of birds is the crane family. So when you come to the zoo, as you're coming in, you'll see the Saurus cranes, and they make a really beautiful call. It's a trill sound when you're coming into the zoo. And then when you come in inside the zoo over to the Africa exhibits with the giraffe, you see a different kind of crane. You might have seen them down here below us a little earlier. I know you guys heard them. Those are called gray-crowned cranes, and they look so much different. And then if you go over to where our Nyala are, they're a species of antelope. We have a different kind of crane yet again. Those are our blue Stanley cranes, and each one is going to sound different. Inside the Nyala yard, we also have a bird called a hornbill. They're called southern ground hornbills. And hornbill is another kind of family. I know Amanda played the Circle of Life earlier from Lion King. Well, there was a hornbill in the Lion King movie. Zazu is a hornbill, and he looks different than the hornbill that we have here. So there's lots of different birds here at the zoo, and there's all the birds in your backyard. They sound, each one is going to sound different. So the birds that we have in our backyard are mostly songbirds. We have a lot of songbirds in our backyard. And one of the songbirds that lives in our backyard is called a chickadee. They're one of my favorite birds to have in our backyard. The black-capped chickadee is one that we have here, and because I like to hear their call. It's one of the first bird calls that I actually ever learned to be able to identify. You can identify birds based on the sounds they make. And so to teach you guys what a chickadee sounds like, they kind of sound like this. When they're singing, they go, see-saw, see-saw. And then another sound that the chickadees make is they say chick, 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 chickadee, chick, 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 chickadee. So the next time that you're outside and you hear a bird, if you hear a bird singing see-saw, you'll know that that is a black-capped chickadee. All right, I see that we have a question about the lions again. Oh, that's a great question. Do the lions get haircuts? No, they don't get haircuts. Their hair just grows. That's a good question, though. In fact, their hair, it's very similar to ours. It does fall out at times, and so they'll regrow it, you know, just like our hair regrows. But they'll just shed their hair, very much like dogs and cats. There are sometimes we give our dogs haircuts, especially if we have long-haired dogs in the summertime here in Iowa when it gets hot. We'll cut their hair and then they grow it back. But our lions, they do not get haircuts. So in the wintertime when it's too cold for them, they go inside. And then in the summer, they're perfectly well adapted for our summer heats. That's a great question. We also, to talk about lions and birds and different sounds that animals made, we made an activity packet for you guys. And we'll post that, a link to that activity packet in the comments section. And in that activity packet, we have a page where you can match what animal sounds like a different instrument, such as there are some frogs that sound like combs, and there are frogs that sound like guitars, and there are frogs that sound like banjos. So there is an activity for that to match what animal sounds like different instruments. And then we also have an instrument craft in that packet that you can make at home, and that is a rain stick. So that's a really fun craft that you can make at home. And then we also have a craft with our giraffe. We were hoping that they'd come over. Amanda's trying to entice them with some lettuce, but they're just not doing it. But in the activity packet, we included a giraffe craft. So it's a headband, and on that headband are ossicones. So if our giraffe were to come over, you'd notice that they have these little horn-like things sticking out of their head. Well, they're not horns and they're not antlers. They are called ossicones. So they're very similar to horns, but they're just slightly different. So I think Amanda is going to talk to you guys next.
Well, what we have coming up next is actually a couple of video questions from our friends, and then Miss Renee is going to do some more performances for us. So here are the questions answered by Miss Renee.
I want to know how drums boom really loud.
All right, so that question was from Charlotte, and she asked, I want to know, how do drums boom really loud? That's a great question. So when you think about drums, I want you to think about, have you ever thrown a rock into a pond or a toy into a pool, and you throw it in and it makes all those ripples that come out after it? Well, that's kind of what happens when you hit a drum on what's called the drum head. So when you hit that drum, the sound ripples out. It's kind of like, instead of ripples, it's called vibrations. And so the vibrations, they ripple out on the head, and if the drum is really, really big and the inside of the drum is really big too, it goes like this inside and comes out as that really, really big noise. So if you think about ripples in a pond and how you see those go out, that's just like how sound works. It goes in vibrations. So the bigger the drum, the bigger the boom. And it also depends on how hard you hit it and how big those vibrations are that we get to hear with our ears. That's a great question. I think we also have another question from our friend Sybil. Let's hear it.
What instrument the loudest?
All right, so she asks, what instrument is the loudest? That's a good question. I had to actually look this up because I wasn't sure. But guess what? The loudest instrument that we know as humans is actually a pipe organ. So did you know that organs that are played with keys like a piano on both your feet and your hands, and they have lots of air that you have to pump through these really big pipes? Did you know that you can also play an organ as part of an orchestra? There are pieces that are written for organ and orchestra. They are really, really cool. So that's one of the loudest sounding instruments that we have here that can also be played with an orchestra. But in a regular orchestra setting, sometimes percussion instruments are the loudest, sometimes the brass instruments are the loudest. They'll even wear earplugs sometimes because their instruments are so loud they want to protect their ears from having that really loud sound right next to them. All right, that was a fantastic question. So here's what we're gonna do next. I get to show you a little bit of the instruments that I have with me. You saw me play my violin earlier, but I also have something that's a little smaller. So let's see what that might be. Does anybody know what this is? It's not a cello. It's a violin, but it's a very small one. This is one that's kid-sized. I think someone that is 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 might use an instrument that's this small because it fits them. Let's hear what this sounds like. Those are the 4 strings of a violin. Now, here is this little violin. I wonder, is it the same as a full adult-sized violin? Let's see. I'm going to grab my violin here. All right, so here is my size violin, and here's a kid-size violin. They are identical, except for that this is a miniature version of this guy. So we've got our highest string, E, and here it is on the big violin. We've got A, the same. We've got D, and then we've got G. They are the same exact strings on both violins. Now, what's kind of fun about violins is we've got lots of different parts on here. You can see that they have all the same parts, but did you know that violins and violas and cellos and basses, they have a tail? Just like our animal friends. Does Amboro have a tail? I think so. He has tail feathers because he's a bird. But does anyone want to know where this tail is on our instrument? Up here is kind of like the head of our instrument. We call this the scroll. We've got pegs, a long neck, like a giraffe. I hope our giraffe friends come out to play, but I think it's kind of rainy, so they might stay inside. And we've got all the way down here, and guess what? This part right here on a stringed instrument, this is what's called the tail piece. So, you know something new. Instruments have tails just like animals. Isn't that fun? Now, this is my violin, but I also have one other instrument here that is smaller than a cello that you saw Miss Amanda play when she played down here like this, but it's bigger than a violin. Does anyone know what instrument that might be? I'm gonna get it while you think. All right, here is my violin, and here is the next size up here. This is what's called a viola. So if you guessed viola, you are right. A viola is smaller than a cello, but it's bigger than a violin. It's right in the middle. They have strings like a cello, but you play it up on your shoulder like a violin. So here is the violin notes. I have to get my bow. But, oh boy. Boro's having some trouble staying on his stick over here. It's kind of fun to watch him. I'm going to get my bow so you can hear the sound of the violin, and then we'll hear the strings on a viola. Let me grab my bow. All right, so here is my violin strings. Nice, that's such a pretty sound. All right, and here is the viola. So let's hear, does it go higher or lower than a violin? it goes lower. So if you guessed lower, you are correct. A viola has a lower sound, just like a cello, but it's played up here like a violin. I think we should hear a little bit of music that the viola can play. If we play a little bit, Ambro is searching for some of his nuts to chew on, but maybe he'll dance for us if he comes back to his perch. Let's see, maybe the music will help him. Here we go. All right, he liked the music, he came back. Okay, you guys, so that's the sound of a viola. Now, I thought it would be kind of fun to play another last song on our violin before we switch back to our friends, Amanda and the drafts, Amanda and Jessica and the drafts. So we've got one more small song to play on the violin. Now, this one is fun. It's actually called Witch's Dance, which is a fun piece by Dvorak, who was a composer that wrote a lot of pieces about America. But this song I thought was appropriate. It's bouncy and fun, but we've also got the fun holiday of Halloween coming up. So if you would like to dance to this music with me and Amboro, I want you to dance. Here we go. Alrighty, friends. Here we go. Are you ready? Listen to how high the violin goes. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me and Amboro. We're going to turn it back to Miss Amanda to finish up our presentation today. Thanks for listening.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to actually turn a little bit this way, so that way you can see our friends of the giraffes over there. So we have a few questions, and the question from Nolan, Jessica, is, let me see. Nolan wants to know, can elephants shoot water out of their trunks?
That is a really great question, Nolan. So an elephant's trunk is a specialized nose, and elephants use it more than just for smelling and breathing. They use it for grabbing things. They use it for sucking up water, so it's like a straw where they just suck all the water out. And then what do they do with it? Once they suck it all up in their nose, well, they're not going to swallow it through their nose. They are going to suck it up in their trunk, and they're going to squirt it into their mouth. So the answer to that question is yes, elephants can spray water out of their trunks. So not only will they use their trunk like a straw to suck up water out of the ponds and spray it into their mouths, but when it's hot, they're going to suck up that water and they're going to spray it over their back like a sprinkler so that way they can stay nice and cool. That's a great question, Nolan. Yes, elephants can spray water out of their trunks.
Wonderful. So I'm jumping back in here. We're trying to keep our, our 6 feet distance here, but we are outside. So we've decided to change locations so that way you can see our giraffe friends here. I'm pretty sure that around 5 o'clock, they're going to go through those gates, get some dinner, and then go to bed. Is anybody hungry for dinner? I know I'm about hungry for dinner. So we're going to talk about what's coming up next, because this is a really fun time. Now remember, we've got a few more minutes, so if you have any more questions, put them in the comments below. Okay, so here we go. Coming up this week, the family concert was a kickoff to our first ever Des Moines Symphony Orchestra live streamed concert that's happening this Thursday from the Temple. It's called Live from the Temple. We're so excited to finally have our Des Moines Symphony musicians performing for you again. We can, check out we actually have a list of events from this week. So if you want to find out more details about all of those wonderful events that we'll be hosting all online, definitely check out our website at dmsymphony.org. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. And we are so excited that we were able to partner with the Blank Park Zoo to see our friends here. Glad you got to actually see them. I'll do a little pan.
I can introduce them to you guys real quick.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so Zola is our little giraffe there. She just took a stroll to the opposite side of the gate. And Jacoby, he's our big male. Jacoby is 17 feet tall. That is really tall. So he's the big one right there with the darker spots. And then our other giraffe that's kind of been coming in and out of the picture here, that's Sky. And Sky is really easy to tell apart from Jacoby and Zola because if you look at her spots, so no two giraffes have the exact same spots. And so if you look at Sky's spots when you're here at the zoo, you'll see inside her big brown spots, she has little white patches of what we say are clouds. She's got little clouds, and so you can tell that Sky is the giraffe with all the little clouds. And Jacoby's really easy to tell apart because if you look at his face, his head is covered with all these little bumps. And those are just calcium deposits that build up on male giraffe's head. And so he's really easy to tell apart. These white animals down on the ground that you see with the curvy horns, those are addax, and they are a critically endangered animal. At one point, we thought that there were only 3 left in the wild. And so now, because of zoos and conservation efforts, we have a lot more addax in the world than we did before. And these itty-bitty little guys that you see, those are not babies. Those are full-grown, slender-horned gazelles. They're tiny. They're only about 3 feet high. And they probably weigh about the same as you guys. They probably only weigh about 50 pounds max. That might even be really big for one of them. So those are all of the hoof stock that we have in our Africa exhibit. So we are open. The zoo is open year-round. I know it's starting to get colder, and the giraffe may not be viewable out in their yard, but we do have a really nice big heated barn that you guys can see them in, even in the winter time. So we encourage you guys to come down to the zoo anytime and see our giraffe friends.
Thanks, Jessica. I thought it was really interesting. I actually didn't know that the zoo was open during the winter. I had no idea, and it wasn't until that I was hanging out with Miss Jessica that I figured that out. So during the winter, what else can, participants see at the zoo?
Yeah, that's a great question because a lot of people, even though we've been here since the 1960s, a lot of people don't know that we're open in the wintertime. And we are. We're open 363 days a year, I believe it is. And so in the wintertime, when you come here, a lot of the animals that we have either are well adapted to cold weather. So, for example, our eland, which are the really, really big antelope that you see just as you're coming into our Africa exhibits. They can be outside and temperatures as low as 40s, high 30s. So even though they're from Africa, they can get down to those lower temperatures. And our rhinos, they can kind of be out when it's around 40 degrees as well. But they also have big, nice heated barns that not only can they hang out in, but people can go in and see them inside as well. So you can go in and see our lions. Actually, the lions love to be outside in the wintertime because they have a rock on their exhibit that's heated. So it's like they're hot tubbing outside in the winter. They love it. Yes.
Great.
And our tigers, they're outside year round because tigers, we have Amur tigers, which are from Russia, and they're from the same. So if you were to draw a straight line from Iowa over to Russia, that's where those tigers are from. So our temperature range is very similar. But then we also have our Discovery Center, our big indoor rainforest that people can go in year round as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Jessica, for sharing all those really fun facts. We've had so much fun partnering with the Blank Park Zoo today. I hope that you've enjoyed listening to our fun songs, hearing some of the bird calls behind us, and seeing all of the really fun animals. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us, and we hope to see you more online this week. You know, we're really excited to be back in person sometime soon, but for all of the exciting things that are happening online, we're sure to keep you entertained. We look forward to also seeing you at the end of October. Oh, the zoo's closing in about 10 minutes. I'm going to let that sound. I'm going to come forward actually and tell you the rest of this. So our next family concert is at the end of October, the last Sunday in October, and we'll be featuring our Des Moines Symphony brass section. So we love video questions. As you saw, we had 4 young friends who asked us questions. You can send me an email at amanda@dmsymphony.org, and I will post your video questions for our brass players. That's the trumpet, the trombone, the tuba, and a few other friends. So if you email me those questions, parents, you can just take a video on your phone. It totally works well. Get those to me ahead of time, and we can ask those questions live at our next family concert. So we hope to see you then. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Come visit Miss Jessica at the zoo, and we'll see you online this week. Bye, everybody.